Give me 1 second on my end. What's that? What's that noise? All right, cool. All right, we're good. Let's see here. Let's turn this down. All right, everybody, we are live this Thursday night. Search for Huru Dynasty Mir, and I have the good brother Namso Akpan with us today, and we're just gonna chop it up on the origins of Nollywood because I know your family played a role in that. Am I correct in the creation of
Yes,
Nollywood?
no, yeah. My dad was a professor of film at the University of Nigeria in Suka. That was in the late 70s.
Okay.
And what's interesting then is that it's like the government got tired of funding film education because the students, the graduates, were not having jobs.
Okay.
So the teachers, the lecturers had to teach their students different ways that they could become sustainable with their craft. And initially, when the industry started, nobody really took it seriously. It's
Hmm.
after the people involved, the filmmakers, the actors, started making a lot of money. That's when the government saw it necessary to get involved. And as they got involved, they decided to, they decided to set up laws. You know, when the government gets involved, they come in with laws to regulate it. And the laws regulated the industry, allowed the industry to grow, and it grew beyond the shores of Africa to going around all around the world to becoming the second largest film industry in the world. So it's interesting that that whole thing transpired in a period of like 30 years.
Wow. Now, when you said second, is Nollywood number one? I'm sorry, is Bollywood number one? Then Nollywood, then the U.S. film industry.
No, Hollywood is number one, then
Uh,
Nollywood number two, then Bollywood number three.
oh, okay. I thought Bollywood for some reason was number one.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, I was told like how Nollywood was started was I guess uh, someone or like an entrepreneur was trying to sell um, VHS tapes, and he had an overstock of them, and so they didn't know what to do with them. So they just start filming movies and putting them on the VHS tapes, and selling them. Is that somewhat how it was started, Nollywood, a little bit as far as
Nollywood was not started by an individual.
okay,
It was started by a group of individuals.
okay,
It was started by everybody that had need for opportunity. And because there were no laws preventing them, they had a free field to explore their talent. Um, I got involved with Nollywood through my father. So that would have been probably 1980. I I was in school in Columbus, Ohio. Then I left Columbus, Ohio, and went to Nigeria. That's when I got involved with Nollywood.
okay,
And at that time, it was just, I mean, the cameras weren't even plenty. Very few people had cameras that could shoot film. Then, very few people had VHS cameras. So, Nollywood started with the use of VHS cameras. So, with the VHS cameras, thing is, you record it, then put it on tape, and you sell the tape.
right,
So there was a lot of business involved with tape. When I got involved, we used to make tape. We make the tape. You follow me?
wow.
We
So
buy a
you made the
large
VHS tapes,
we buy a large spool of tape and we come and cut it down into like 30-minute pieces, 60-minute pieces because it was cheaper. Sometimes for me to buy tape of 180 minutes. then come and then buy empty cases because we had access to empty cases. So we buy the tape, come and cut it up. Even when it came to editing, you see, we use VHS, um,
Hey,
the regular home. Yes.
so real quick. There's a like it's somewhat distorted as for on your end. And hold on, people in the chat room, can you hear Namso clearly, or it might just be me on my end? People in the chat room, press one if you can hear Namso clearly. In the chat room, whoever's watching, press one. Doug, can you hear Namso clearly?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you
okay,
hear
let's
me?
say yeah. So Jim, we're good to go. One. All right, go ahead. Keep going. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we even had to make tapes. I remember that at a certain time we would buy the regular VHS recording machine, the regular VHS machine.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We'll open it up. There's a plug that inside it, you can pull the plug or cut the plug or cut the wires. When you cut those wires, you see the normal VHS tape, if you were to, it's not made for editing. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. It's not made for editing. If you try to edit with it, it will wipe part of the tape.
Okay.
Every edit will wipe part of the tape. Every edit will wipe part of the tape, and you would not have clean cuts. Okay.
Okay.
So what we did was we had to open the machines up, cut the wire, and when you cut the wire, you can now use that machine as an editing machine to edit a movie.
Mm.
So we would use the regular home VHS machine to actually edit the movie and do all those sharp cuts in the movie, which in America that's not doable. I mean, as soon as you open up your machine, you avoided the warranty,
Right.
you know. But when you're in Africa, you don't. The warranty really doesn't matter. They're
I
not going to honor it anyway.
mean, exactly. Exactly.
You're so far that they're not going to honor the warranty. So we converted those machines. Then one thing that happened was when the computers became more popular and the disc, the CD,
Uh huh.
we decided to store video content on a CD, and I believe that forced Asia to start making um, DVDs that would play video
Mm-hmm.
because we started storing video on
Wow.
DVDs
But
and they were
but the
sold as
but the
video VCDs, video CDs, VCDs.
uh huh.
So the
But
advent, what really made Nollywood boom was when
okay.
video CDs came
Wow.
because they were smaller and easy to easy to ship and sell and all that and package.
Mm.
And the video CDs were hot there even before DVDs were hot here.
Wow. So tell us. So you were part of that the early, I guess, Nollywood. So what brought you to Atlanta from Nigeria?
That's a good question. You see,
Uh,
by okay, when I graduated, I got a degree in physics in I think two, 1980 89 or so.
uh-huh.
So I decided to go back to school and get a degree in marketing. So with a degree in marketing, a degree in physics, and a father that was a professor of film,
Mm-hmm.
that made me feel invincible.
Okay.
So I set up my production company and started making films. Started making
Okay.
all kinds of productions from 1991 to 1997. By 1997, I had completed 1,000 productions.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I felt, wow, if I have done 1,000 productions and I'm not a millionaire, I might be at the wrong place.
Hmm.
So I'm going to head to back to the U.S. And that's what brought me back here.
Okay.
Um, I felt that at that point, I did not know what the internet was going to do for Nollywood.
Okay. I don't
And
think people knew. I don't think people knew the potential of the internet. Period. Uh,
in,
Back in the day.
in, in 1997, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I don't think people knew the how it would impact society as a whole back in 1997. So yeah, you're not the only one. Put it like that.
hmm So it's interesting that after I came here in 1997, from 1997, I got to Atlanta and realized that we in Atlanta were kind of backwards compared to Nigeria in film.
How?
We weren't making none. We were just
Right.
dreaming and talking about it. While in Nigeria, I had already expanded. Remember, I said by 1997, I had completed 1,000 production, not 100, 1,000, not 100,
Right.
1,000. So we were doing so much. On a weekend, in 1 week, we're pushing out my production company, Video World. Every week was pushing out at least 5 productions. Every week, I had 4 crews, 4 production crews, and this
Wow.
is between 1991 and 1997. By 1995 or 1994, my production company was producing half the content on the television that people were watching.
In Nigeria.
Yes,
Okay.
half the content of what people were watching.
Okay. Let me ask
So
you. Do you, and I might be jumping ahead of myself. Do you regret leaving Nigeria and coming to Atlanta?
sometimes, but not right now.
Okay. Why?
At a certain point, I did.
Hmm.
But let me tell you what led to that point. I
Go ahead.
left Nigeria. I came to America, came back to America, came to Atlanta. I selected Atlanta because I believe was the most powerful black city in the world.
Okay.
So I came here. That was just right after the Olympics.
Okay.
So I came here. When I got here, I realized, wow, it seems I went backwards in production. Um, but I stayed the course. Staying the course, it gave me an opportunity to learn about Atlanta. But while I was learning about Atlanta, I realized that the people that I left in Nollywood
Uh huh.
were becoming wealthier and wealthier. And 10 years later, in 2007, they were nearing beating Bollywood
Wow.
while I'm here with people that are not really thinking about building. So between then again, 2007, the people here started getting involved with the industry and having to believe that Hollywood was coming here. And I think you remember way back then, I said that Hollywood provide opportunities here. Now it has been 10
Now,
years.
now they are
You say they are what?
providing opportunities in Atlanta, Hollywood.
No, no, they're not.
You don't think? Okay, go ahead. Explain why.
No, they're not. They're making more films here,
Right.
but
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
they're making more films here, but the talent in Atlanta is still not getting opportunity. Opportunity is still lacking.
All right.
They're
Do you
still making
mean
more films here,
so you
but
mean specifically like A-list actors from Atlanta? They still have to go to
no.
Hollywood to come back to Atlanta. That's what you mean, right?
What I
A-list.
mean, what I mean is this: over the last 20 years that I've been in Atlanta, I've dealt with all kinds and all sorts of actors. None of them is making a living from Hollywood today. None of them has been discovered yet.
The actors and
None of
actors,
them,
correct?
actors and actor. I have in the 20 years I've been in Atlanta, I've dealt with a lot of the local actors and actresses.
Right.
None
Myself
of
included
them,
at one time.
you included, none
Uh-huh.
of them has been discovered. The only ones that have made any leeway are the ones that are used to destroy the community.
Right, of course. Yeah, of course.
So it's like, okay, yeah, they're coming, they're invading, but they're not adding value to the community. They're not adding money to the community,
Mhm.
and movie industry should. They're
Right.
not empowering the community. If you look, the area that Hollywood produces the most films in is the south side of Atlanta.
Right. I can tell you where in Fayetteville at what's the name of
So
what's the name of the studio there? Pinewood Studios.
no, no, I'm talking about outside the studio complex when they're shooting on streets and neighborhoods.
Okay, okay, outside the complex. Okay. Go ahead.
Outside the studio complex, when they shoot in streets and neighborhoods, usually in the south side, usually in the poorer neighborhoods of town.
They do a lot in the West End too.
Yes, usually
Uh-huh.
in the poor neighborhoods of town. So a lot of times they do it in things in neighborhoods that they can do things in. So after being in Atlanta for all this while, we realize still that there's still no opportunity. And that is one of the reasons that after I've invested all this time in the industry, I realized the only way we can create opportunity is to create it.
Right.
It's not going to be given. It's not going to be created by Hollywood. They're only going to make money, and there's nothing wrong with what they're doing because they are in
Right.
business. They're in the business of making money. But my take on it is real simple. We don't have to wait. 10 years ago, I said the same thing. We don't have to wait on Hollywood. And now is better for me because I can easily say 10 years ago I said it. I can easily go back to 10 years, 12 years ago when we said certain things will happen certain way and they have happened and our people are still not empowered.
Right.
So the only way for us to empower ourselves is to empower ourselves, create our own industry. And when I say our own industry, I'm not talking about a black movie industry. I don't think a black movie industry can work.
Why do you
I
say that?
also I feel it sounds racist. It sounds unfair. It
But
sounds it sounds dividing. If you're running a black movie industry and I have a white wife, should we come together to watch a movie?
why not? I mean, I know a lot of white people that enjoy BET.
Okay, so we don't have to call it a black movie industry. We can just call it what we call it now, the movie industry of the South.
Okay. Okay. I mean,
That's what we can do.
I somewhat understand where you're coming from, but just me personally, there's a you hear that noise in the background? Okay, stop. But just me personally, I think there's this idea in the black community that you cannot be unapologetically black and be successful. In fact, I've heard people tell me that being unapologetically black in business is a poverty mindset. But you have the Chinese movie community, the Latino movie community, but for some reason, I think a black movie community could be successful, even if you call it a black movie community. Because again,
There's- I want you to listen to the words that you're saying.
go
There's a
ahead.
big difference between a movie community and a movie industry.
Okay, okay, go ahead. Explain.
It's okay to have a black movie community. It's okay to have a Chinese movie community.
Okay,
But when you say a Chinese movie industry, you need to be in China doing that.
Mm.
When you say Nigerian movie industry, you need to be in Nigeria doing that. So if we're in America and
Okay.
we're in the southern part of America,
Okay.
what we have here is the movie industry of the South.
Okay.
Not white people, not black people, not Chinese, the South. So if you are in the South, then this industry is yours and it's based in Atlanta.
Okay.
So that the industry can create wealth for all of us and so that we
Okay.
can enjoy the wealth because it's important to enjoy the wealth.
Okay. All right. So, from what you learned in regards to your journey, in fact, let's do this. Tell us about Lanterwood, and then also let's tell the people how me and you met back in what 2007, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, tell people about Lanterwood, which is your film industry that you started.
Well, Nollywood is 12 or so years old now. It's a movie industry of the South. It's based in Atlanta, and it's based on this concept, the simple concept and the simple vision of turning talent into money.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on that simple premise of turning talent into money.
Okay.
We have recognized that in Atlanta there is an abundance of talent.
Right.
In the South there is an abundance of talent, but a deficit of opportunity. So our focus is to eliminate homelessness,
Mm-hmm.
eliminate hunger, eliminate unemployment. And all these are going to be done with this catalyst called Lanawood.
Okay.
So Lanawood is just a catalyst. Some people think, oh, it's a film production company. It's not. It's a catalyst.
Okay. All right. What was the inspiration behind it? Lanterwood.
Um, opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
opportunity, the lack of opportunity.
Okay.
You see, just before I met you,
Yes.
was that, I think I met you, was it 2006?
It was either 2006 or 2007. I think it might have been 2007.
Just before I met you, I was focused in a production company called Atlanta Filmworks.
Okay.
Now, as I focused on making films, I then really realized that there were hundreds of people out there, thousands of people that had talent but had no opportunity. I also realized that even though that I had talent, I really did not have opportunity.
Right.
In all this while, I noticed a gentleman called Tyler Perry.
Okay.
And of all the people I've seen, he's the only one that I noticed have talent
So you
and
think
found
okay.
opportunity.
Okay.
He had talent and found he had talent and he created opportunity for himself. And
Okay.
at a certain point, I remember that at a certain point, I remember 2005, 2004, I felt I was competing with him
Mm-hmm.
in pricing of movies.
Uh-huh.
He was selling movies, I was selling movies through gas stations, and I was doing real good.
Okay.
And we were selling.
Right.
That's what led to the idea of setting up stores for other people to have movies.
Okay.
And that's probably when you and I met,
Mm-hmm.
when we then started to look at setting up the industry.
Right.
Now, and it's interesting that from that period of setting up the industry, we finally set it up. We finally opened up to 600 stores by 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Then something dynamic happened. You see, by 2010, we were focused on the more on the store angle, distribution, not industry. We were
Okay.
focused on determining good distribution outlets. But unfortunately, between 2010 and 2012, the internet came in.
Right.
And the internet videos became faster and faster and faster and more acceptable online. And that brought a decline in the sales of DVDs. So
Okay.
it's like all our eggs that were in the baskets of DVDs
Right.
just crashed,
Mhm.
just got crushed. So we were back to square zero, having to redefine distribution,
Okay.
which took us to digital distribution, only to share with us the truth about digital distribution. So it's really been a journey.
Mhm. Now tell people your concept with Atlanta Wood. As far as I remember, we would go to gas stations and I guess ask the gas stations if we could set up shop as far as moving the Atlanta Wood product in these gas stations. Can you tell people share with them the actual concept about how we distributed Atlanta Wood movies and films?
Well, in those days, we looked at distributing it through the gas station, and we were distributing it through the gas station because the prior method of distribution had failed, which was the vending machines. Um, we created vending machines before Redbox, but we were not able to legitimize it. And when we lost out on the vending machines, then we decided to go into the gas stations with little boxes of DVDs. That became very, very successful.
Uh-huh.
And that spawned a lot of movies and a lot of gas stations opened up. So while we were focused on that method and we enjoyed that method, the internet came in and kind of directed it to another dynamic, which got us to really understand that we were talking about not just one component. You see, I started with production, right?
Right.
Started with a production company.
Mm-hmm.
Then I graduated to a distribution company.
Mm-hmm.
Then I graduated to an online distribution company, which failed. So I set up something like a Netflix and it failed. At the same time, I noticed that several people had set up things like a Netflix and they failed. And today, Netflix is kind of like the only person standing, the only
Right.
body standing. A lot of us have set up and failed. That's what grew me to understanding that it's not just one thing. You have to have a complete array of things.
Mm-hmm.
So many things have to be created, and they all have to work like a clock. So between 2014 and 2016, I had to design that clock. Towards the end of 2016, I realized that the clock was well designed and it was so powerful, but it had to be installed. And the
Mm-hmm.
only place to install that clock is in the dome, it's in the Capitol. It has to be installed in the Capitol so that it will work for the whole of Georgia.
Okay. So from what you've learned in regards to trial and error as far as Lanterwood, what will you take back to Nigeria and implement into, I guess, Nollywood?
When you say take back to Nigeria, I don't fathom
Well,
taking
okay.
it back
So
to
would you ever
Nigerian state.
consider relocating back to Nigeria then?
I I would. Um, Hold on 1 minute. I hope this does not go down. I have to check a power source.
Okay.
Hold on 1 minute. Can you see me?
Yes. See, fine.
What's gonna happen if the battery goes down?
If your
I'm gonna,
battery
I'm gonna
goes,
lose my
if your battery
I'm
goes
gonna
dead,
lose
or
my
just
battery.
if your
Yeah,
battery goes dead or just down.
dead. It's like
Oh yeah,
it's dropping
if it goes
flat.
dead, if it goes completely dead, I'm gonna lose you, and then you just have to come back
Yeah,
on.
it's
If it
dropping.
okay, all right, but you're charging it now, right?
Yeah, I got it plugged up.
Okay, so we should be good, unless you got one of those gas station chargers. And if you got a gas station charger, you might be in trouble.
I don't know.
Uh-huh. All right. So the question was, will you consider relocating back to Nigeria?
I got kids.
Okay.
Got kids, so my kids will decide that. I'll let them decide that when they get big. My son will decide that, but he's 3 now.
Okay.
So if he wants me to hang with him when he's old enough, I'll hang here with him. But
Okay.
if he wants us to go and hang anywhere, that's cool. But we got a lot of work to do for the next 20 years in Atlanta.
Okay. Like what? Go ahead. And then I guess we can go ahead and lead into your political aspirations. So what kind of work do we have to do here in Atlanta?
Creating 1 million jobs within the next 20 years.
Okay.
Creating 1 million jobs at least. By establishing the film industry here is going to be a catalyst for creating jobs.
Okay.
So, with the movie industry here, it's going to be a catalyst for creating jobs, and that's what we're going to be doing: creating jobs, controlling our image, taking back our communities, empowering our people through
Okay.
imaging, creating money, creating wealth through selling our talent, turning our talent into money.
Okay.
A lot of things keep us poor. A lot of things that keep us poor have to do with our mentality. For example, I believe that you played some sort of sport in school, right?
Yeah, I play football and ran track.
Okay, were you paid?
Not. I was
Just
given a
yes or
scholarship.
no.
I was given a scholarship. I wasn't given like a salary. Just a scholarship.
Now you see, I kind of have problems when I see, for example, this weekend we have students playing at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, right?
On Monday, the national championship football game,
On
Georgia
Monday.
and Alabama. My alma mater, Georgia's playing.
Okay, now the tickets are over $2,000, right?
Yeah, that's nosebleeds.
Now, are any of those students being paid to play?
Of course not.
So where is all that money going?
To the schools, to
Why?
Mercedes Benz, that because I mean the
That's
school.
pimping. That's pimping.
Okay, and
So
I
you
and I
see,
agree, and I agree. I
so
completely
so
agree.
you see, it's time that we control our image. The problem is that Hollywood promotes it and makes that seem like that's the way it should be.
Hmm.
So if we have Wood, we're gonna also be able to make things seem the way they really should be.
Hmm.
Because I don't want my kid out there playing. What if my kid has spinal injury, but they've made no money from the God given talent?
It is what it is.
Yeah. So it's like people that are hopeless out there with their kids, enslaving their children. That's enslavement. I could not allow my son to do that, unfortunately. I tell him, bro, right? No, you can't. They tell you you're good, let them pay. Let them pay me so I can pay your school fees. We don't need no scholarship. Paid my son.
Yeah, but what if they? I mean, so what? Okay, question: what should the salary be for someone
My
who's
son,
playing?
for example, if my son was playing in this game right now, they're gonna make billions out of this game. My son should at least walk on with at least 2, 3, 4 million. So out of that 2, 3, 4 million, can you imagine how many of his sisters I will be able to pay the school fees, or maybe my son will pay the school fees for his sisters? So we don't need the handout. No need for the scholarship. My son got talent.
Uh huh. Okay.
And most importantly, he can die. He could hurt himself while doing this.
Hmm. No, I completely agree. But they see it that, hey, we're paying for your scholarship, that you're
Because they
good.
are allowed to see it like that, and because in their blueprint, they're pimps.
Uh huh.
That's why they do the draft. They line those niggas up like they're selling slaves.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
So it's just really time for just dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
just slow dialogue that people will start looking at things differently,
Mm-hmm.
looking at why it's important to plan. Somebody asked me my agenda. My agenda is real simple. I want to create simple moves that are going to eliminate or eradicate homelessness,
Mm-hmm.
hunger, eradicate hunger because there's no reason somebody should be hungry.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason somebody should be unemployed. If we all have talent, how come it should be so simple that you walk into a room, they hook you up to a machine, they find out your talent, then they employ you? How hard is that?
Right. No, I agree. I agree.
They find out your talent and they get you a job based on your talent. But you see, they're going to say, oh, you have to go for training. It seems like that sounds like programming you away from your talent.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, Nam, so you're running for office here in Atlanta, correct?
Yes.
What motivated you to run for to get involved in politics, especially Atlanta politics?
My motivation came basically from seeing my community and seeing the knowledge that God gave to me
Okay.
and asking myself consistently, what is all this knowledge for? Is it just to talk? Why do I know how to make movies? Why do I know how to make things? Why do I know how to mix things up? What is the purpose? Year ago that I realized after talking with my mother shared with me the purpose. She shared with me her feeling. And she said to me, son, I think what God put in front of you is larger than what you think. All this knowledge, what are you going to do with it?
Right.
And I said to her, Mom, I want to just get the thing to work. I
Mm-hmm.
want the industry to be created and for the people to be wealthy. And she said, what does it take? And I said, well, there's a lady called um, Abel Mabel. She's a representative. And they have put in front of her, they've asked her to find a way for inclusion of the people of Georgia to be included in what Hollywood is doing. That in fact, if I was her, I would tell them, I got a way. Let's create a movie industry here because we can't force Hollywood to hire people. We
Mm-hmm.
can't make them hire nobody. But we have all the resources here to have the same thing for our people here. So when I realized that it was kind of difficult to get this message in to our people, to Abel Mabel, to our leaders, because none of our leaders have had the opportunity of seeing things from my point of view. None of our leaders have had the opportunity of being involved with Nollywood, the second largest film industry in the world. So if you haven't been involved with Nollywood, you might not even think it's possible. And if Hollywood controls what's going on here, if Hollywood runs, if we want to run our neighborhoods, we got to have the same kind of machine or instrument that Hollywood has.
Mm-hmm.
So in the world, we know that Nollywood is the only one that has come close. I was involved with that. That gives me kind of that background knowledge to be able to do the same thing to empower Atlanta.
Okay.
So
So you're gonna,
that got me into it.
and so you formally announced. Now, what are you running for? I'm sorry, in Atlanta.
I'm running for Georgia State Senate for District 36, which is the area from the airport north to around Georgia State, and it goes east to Moreland through
Moreland the
Fort
city or Moreland the street avenue?
Moreland Avenue, Moreland Avenue, coming down Moreland Avenue, um, all the way down to Cleveland Avenue.
Uh-huh. Okay. And the election is, I guess, what, in like November?
November,
Okay.
yeah, November 6th. So we got time. Got time
Okay.
to knock on the doors.
Okay, cool. So you're gonna you formally announce your campaign, I guess, on the 15th,
Yes,
correct?
yes,
Good. I'll be there. You tell me when and where, and I'll be there.
yes, sir.
And you already know you
We're
have my
going.
support. So
Yeah, it's interesting. On the 15th is Martin Luther King's birthday,
right.
and we're going to be announcing it right in front of his house on Sunset Avenue. That's number 234 Sunset Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, 30314.
Okay.
To a lot of people, they don't know this house because this has not been um, promoted.
Okay.
A lot of people think Martin Luther King's house is on the other side, the one that is
Right.
actually promoted.
Right.
And this is part of that control of image. Mon- um, and when you consider that this area that we're going to be is the bluff,
Okay.
right in the
Which is
bluff.
which is well, the bluff is changing now though. It's really no longer the bluff like it used to be.
What is it? There's still abandoned houses all over there.
But you already what they're doing in the West End. They're about to do to the bluff. All
Yes,
that is about to
yes,
be. All that is going to be parks, green space, and condos, high rise
yes.
condos.
Yes, we understand that. We understand that, and what is important is how it got there, the lives that it took to get there, the deception that it took to get there.
Hmm.
So we understand how it is to have green space. Well, what about the people that have died in that ground, the people that have been buried, the blood that has been spilt in that neighborhood? Is it how important is it for us to use the method that was used to get the neighborhood to being what it is?
Hmm.
You see, somebody programmed that neighborhood to decline 20 years ago
Right.
so that they will be able to walk in.
Hmm. Now, me and you had a conversation in regards to gentrification. You said that there's no such thing as gentrification. Can you go into detail about uh, why you your thoughts on that, on gentrification?
Oh, my thoughts on gentrification, especially in the urban areas, that a lot of times we complain that you see when we say gentrification, we're talking about people, a lot of times white people coming in to take our neighborhoods, right?
Right.
But if I look, these neighborhoods in 1950, 1940, 1960 were white neighborhoods.
Right.
So we actually came and bought their neighborhoods and they moved out. And we held onto the neighborhood for 50, 60 years.
Hmm.
And we allowed the property to go into decline.
Hmm.
And now maybe we bought it 50,000 from them. They come back and buy 20 from us.
Hmm.
But these houses belong to their grandparents and their great grandparents, right?
Right.
So now they're coming back to take their great grandparents' houses, right?
Right.
Now, who should really complain? I don't think anybody's really in a position to complain, but from their point of view, if I was them, I would look down at us
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, damn, you had this opportunity. You had this house for 50 years. It
Right.
was nicer than this when my grandfather sold it to you, and there was no internet then.
Right.
But look at what you've let it turn into. This is the time that if we made the right move, we should be selling these homes and making 10 times what we invested. But we
Uh-huh.
didn't. We just complaining. So I think we have to drop the narrative of complaining and understand that it's our responsibility to build.
Okay. I want to give a shout out to Kellen Cash in the chat room. Shout out to Kellen. Shout out to everybody in on the chat. Thank you for coming on and joining us this Thursday night. Make sure you guys get the likes up. Make sure you share the videos and make sure you super chat as well. Cool. See, we're not going to agree on every issue. That's impossible. So, I think I somewhat agree with some of the with Namso's position on gentrification. But Namso, let me ask you, when people say, what about the war on drugs and the crack epidemic, and that being part of the reasons that these neighborhoods declined? What would be your response to that?
What about the war on drugs and
And
the
the
crack
crack epidemic,
epidemic?
right?
Okay. Now, as the first time I went into the Bluff,
Uh-huh.
okay, the heroin capital of Georgia,
Right.
what I noticed was black people selling dope
Mm-hmm.
to black and white people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know how the dope got in there, but you see, the black people had a choice of selling dope, oh, but they chose to do that. I understand the brainwashing and the programming. I understand that clearly. And I agree that it has been done.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Hollywood was used to brainwash us because the crack epidemic, all these epidemics are created or pushed by Hollywood or promoted by Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we know what to do, we don't have to keep talking about, oh, this is what happened, this is why. It's okay. So there was an epidemic, and our minds were tuned to doing drugs and selling drugs, especially to our own kind.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, they didn't know that it will spread past our own kind. Like today, from that neighborhood called the Bluff is a triangle. Triangle, it begins from the Bluff and goes up north.
Mm-hmm.
That is clearly driving that freeway, 75 north, those white boys coming
Right.
from the north, coming
Mm-hmm.
down, and being stuck in the Bluff. So they took it and spread, and now it's affecting them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, there was an epidemic. Yes, it affected our community, but we got to remember it's our people that were doing it. We sold it.
So,
Let's look back to with Black Panthers and all that. They were
mm-hmm.
accused of selling drugs.
Right.
Their
But what
leader,
about? But what if somebody gives you the excuse? Well, we have to sell drug. We're forced to sell drugs because there's no opportunities. There's no jobs. Man, what's
um,
that noise? What's
so
that? It's like a
now
pitchy noise.
again, in what we're doing today, as I'm running for Senate of District 36,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say this clearly
Go ahead.
that I'm not going to, I don't even think we need to do any laws about drugs in our district. People, within the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to get our people to the point that they don't need to sell drugs.
Okay.
Okay? Now, if somebody said they needed to sell drugs, that's based on their myopic mentality, based on what they knew. Because, okay, you needed to sell drug. How come you didn't need to plant cotton? At least you have somebody in your family that could have shown you how to plant cotton. But because cotton wasn't fancy, because it wasn't celebrated, but drug
Right.
selling was. So you fell for the celebration. So
Right.
nobody's really forced to sell anything they don't want to sell. Most people, like right now, we're going to be talking about farming. We're going to be talking about raising chicken. How many of our people will raise chicken? It's like talking about selling weed. A lot of our people will sell weed. But when weed and when cannabis and when marijuana becomes legal, how many of our people will actually plant it? Because by that
Nam, so
time, we
do
might
you do
realize that
you,
it's real work.
would you recommend Black people to pursue the cannabis industry?
Yes,
Why is that?
because it's money.
Is all money good money?
Yes, all money that is made properly, especially when it comes from the ground. When you say all money, good money, what's wrong with money from spinach? What's the difference between spinach and marijuana?
Come on. I mean, can you smoke spinach?
Yes.
Who smokes spinach? Now, so
Who has
I mean,
promoted smoking spinach?
this is my thing now. So
Answer my question. Just answer my question.
go ahead, go ahead.
Who has promoted who who has promoted smoking spinach?
No one has, but you. I
Okay.
guess we can be
So
the first.
who has promoted smoking weed?
I have no clue who originated,
I
smoking
said who
marijuana.
has promoted.
A lot of people promoted, a lot of
The main
rappers,
promoter. Okay, so Hollywood.
Hollywood, entertainment industry.
If Hollywood was to promote smoking spinach, people would smoke it.
Okay.
If Hollywood made smoking spinach cool, look at the boys on the street. I was looking at one today. He had his pants hanging down. He had to keep picking it up, keep picking it up. I felt like removing my belt to give him, but I feel he would have felt confused.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is, how convenient is it for him to walk around with pants that hang around his ankle?
Mm-hmm.
You follow me? But
Right.
somebody is promoting it. If he tries to run, he will fall, but somebody is promoting that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's doing it blindly.
Mm. This is my issue with marijuana in regards to the Black community. I think it's abused. My experience with marijuana in California, I felt like Black people were more excited about getting their cannabis cards than owning real estate. Um, and yes, now legally we could, I guess, sell weed, but again, I just think Black people would will just it's a bad. I don't know what that noise is coming from. Do you hear that, guys? Do you hear
Yeah, I
that
hear
in the
that.
chat room? Yeah, I don't. I just feel as if Black people are just gonna end up abusing it than um, than actually capitalizing on it. That's just me personally. And you're right. Is weed is legal now. You can sell it, but I don't think drugs, period, can operate in the best interest of Black people. Just me personally. I mean, I see Black people in LA who smoke weed here in Georgia who abuse it. They're walking around looking like zombies. I just think right now, Black economic empowerment outside of drugs, we should focus on. That's just me personally, but I could be
Yeah,
wrong. Hey, I'm a square. So,
yeah, yeah. First of all, let me share with you that when you talk about marijuana and hemp, there are so many things involved with it. You got the oils, you got the fiber, you got the seeds, you got so many things. Secondly, you have to remember that marijuana was not supposed to be smoked. It's just like spinach. Spinach was not supposed to be smoked.
Uh-huh.
But if you publicize the smoking of it, and if it gave a certain buzz, people would do it, but that doesn't mean it's the best thing. The
Right.
problem is that the laws that are prohibiting people to use it naturally for what it is leads to the abuse. The promotion that is given, making it seem cool, leads to the abuse. All the money that is made around it leads to its abuse. If we were to make hemp, marijuana, cannabis, whatever it's called,
Mm-hmm.
if we were to make it legal, what would happen is that all this excitement about it would disappear. It would just be like spinach.
Mm-hmm.
All the excitement would disappear. Especially if people had to plant it, you would notice that half the people would stop even farming it if they had to plant it. And again, if it was legalized, the value, the price would fall. It's just, it's just, it's bush. It's just something that grows.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me? It would grow everywhere. If it grew everywhere, the value of it would fall. If the
Right.
value fell, it wouldn't be as exciting to have it.
Right.
Let me share something with you. I went to Nigeria, and in Nigeria, I happened to also see the culture and how a weed man was regarded.
Mm-hmm.
In America, the weed man is the top of the community. He's celebrated. He's a role model. He sings about his endeavors and move in songs. He raps about it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
In Nigeria, the weed man is the bottom of the barrel, the dirt,
Of course.
the person you don't even touch because of the value of the product that they deal on.
Okay.
You, you follow me?
Yeah, but the weed man shouldn't be the um number one as far as the weed man shouldn't be, as you say, the most respected or idolized in the black community. That's the issue.
But it is because of the media again. When you look at the Migos, the Future, the Ti, isn't that their claim to fame?
That and popping pills and mollies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's their claim to fame. So again, is the media.
Hmm.
So what we have to do is take control of our image.
Right.
And once we take control of our image, we're then going to be able to show our children the positives. There's nothing that grows in the ground that should be made illegal. But all these things can be used in different ways.
Mm. No, I mean, I agree to a point, but again, I see the way that our community abuses it, and we have nothing to show for it. And like I said before, I just see us walking around looking like zombies. I personally don't agree with it, but hey, I'm a square, I guess. It's whatever. Um, but Napso, I'm gonna go ahead and let you close out. Go ahead and you have the final say. And please give people your contact information as well as we close out.
Okay. Yeah, my contact information is Facebook/Namso AKPAN, Namso Akpan. That's NAMSO. Last name AKPAN. I have a website at localfilmjobs.org.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Let me see, what other contact do I remember offhand? And if you guys get on Facebook, just send me a friend request, a like or something. I'll just let us be able to connect.
Okay. All right. Cool. Napso, thank you so much for coming on. You're always welcome back. I will be at your campaign launch on the 15th. And make sure you guys, if you're new to the chat, make sure you like, subscribe, and share the videos. Make sure you super chat. Also go to search for Huru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Make sure you go to searchforhuru.com. Make sure you go to amazon.com, search your name, Dynasty Mirror. Please buy a book. And please go to dynastymirror.com. Till next time, people, I'll be back on later on tonight. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming on. Till next time, peace.
All right, brother.
All right, I appreciate it, Namso. Peace, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll wrap later.